Good afternoon. Uh, I hope that you are having a wonderful day and that you are about to be inspired by the information I'm about to share with you. Now, we know we have the election of a new pope, Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost. Note that Francis is his middle name. So it's interesting that he has the name of the first name that was chosen by, and the first pope who was named Francis of Assisi. And we know that Francis of Assisi was also concerned about the life of the poor, right? And the underprivileged, the marginalized of society. And that is what former Jesuit Pope Francis, was concerned about. And for that reason, he chose the name Pope Francis. And that was the first pope in the history of the pontificate, in the history of the Roman Catholic pontificate, that was chosen as Francis, first name. Now, we know that Pope Leo is one of the most common names used by popes in the past, and he has called himself Pope Leo the 14th, succeeding Pope Leo the 13th, that reigned from 1878 to 1903. That is Pope Leo the 13th. He reigned as the Pope of the Roman Catholic papacy from 1878 to 1903. Now, I'm going to share with you 10 fun facts of Pope Leo the 14th, who is now the current Pope, who was elected by the conclave of cardinals at the recently convened, um, the meeting to elect the Pope. Now, the first fun fact is that he is the first American Pope. Pope Leo the 14th is known as the first American Pope. Yes, Pope Leo the 14th is the first Pope to have been chosen by the conclave of cardinals to be Pope, which was going to be held by an American who speaks with an American accent, right? And is first and native tongue is English. That is something historic in the Roman Catholic pontificate, as they've just elected the first pope. So the pope will be speaking English when he does, with a native American accent. Number two, fun fact number two, he is the first Augustinian pope. That's Pope Leo the 14th, belongs to the Augustinian religious order of the Catholic Church. In fact, he was general of said order in the early 2000s. So he was head of the Augustinian religious order. And that is a secret order within the Roman Catholic papacy. And they are dedicated to missionary work, to spreading the faith around the world. There are many controversies surrounding the Augustinian order. In fact, they're suggesting that anywhere they go as missionaries, you have a lot of murders. Now, how true that is left up to you. You can go and do your research on that. Okay. Now, number three, fun fact number three, he is popularly called in the Vatican, that's Pope Leo the 14th is popularly called the Latin Yankee, right? That is what he's often called by the cardinals. Indeed, the cardinals in the Vatican touts him as being the least American of all American cardinals. The least American of all American cardinals. Why do they tout him? Why do they style him? Why do they have they given him that nomenclature, that identity as the least of all American cardinals? Is this due to his capacity to speak many languages? I think he speaks 5 or 6 languages. He speaks certainly English is his native tongue. He speaks Spanish, as he spent a long time in Peru, right? And he also speaks Italian. He's fluent in Italian, and the media have been highlighting that his fluency in Spanish and in Italian. He speaks also Portuguese. I've never heard him speak Portuguese, but I'd like to hear him speak. But he was close to, he lived in Peru, and Peru is in South America, so he was able to traverse both countries. I'm sure that he learned some Portuguese in Brazil. He also speaks French, right? French is also a language that he speaks, and he reads Latin and German. So he probably doesn't speak these languages, but he reads comfortably in these languages. Number four, fun fact number four, Pope Leo IV is a naturalized citizen of Peru. So he's, in addition to being in addition to being a naturalized citizen of the United States, he's also a naturalized citizen of Peru, having lived and worked in Peru from 2014 to 2023, when he was called to the Vatican by Pope Francis to head up the the dicastery of cardinals. He was actually in that position in which he was asked to select the bishops or the different cardinals that would be dispatched to the various localities, to the various dioceses in the Roman Catholic Church. Now, number five, fun fact number five, Pope Leo XIV is a polyglot. We talked about that. He speaks many languages. I think that I already said that, so we don't need to highlight that anymore, right? He speaks many languages, which makes him very culturally sensitive. Number five, then, let's just go to number five because I think I repeated myself. Number five, Pope Leo XIV was born in Chicago, USA. He's a mathematician, right? So he is a math whiz who received a BSc in mathematics from Villanova University, right? So he is a math whiz and someone who does math very well. He's an extremely smart man, right? Because he is linguistically oriented and he's also mathematically oriented. Very good, very brilliant Pope he is. Fun fact number seven, Pope Leo XIV admires greatly the pontificate of Pope Leo XIII, who was known to be a reformer of Catholic theology and the Pope of the laborer, or defending the rights of the laborer, right? So that is what Pope Leo XIII was known to have done, to have defended the rights of the common man, of the working class. And at that time, he was defending the whole matter of the impact of the Industrial Revolution and the impact that it had had on the working class, on the laborer at the bottom of the economic pole. That is what Pope Leo XIII was devoted in doing. And he was also a reformer. Pope Leo XIII was also a reformer. And I think that Pope Leo XIV, the current Pope, wants to reform the church as well, perhaps to reform the world, because the Roman Catholic papacy is a global institution. It's an empire. It's a religious empire. And as Avraham Manhattan stated in the Vatican role in world politics, he stated that, or the Vatican in world politics, that's the name of the book by Avraham Manhattan, that the Vatican, we might want to call this century not so much the American century, but the Catholic century, or the Vatican century, the century of Roman Catholicism. And we can see how the Roman Catholic Church is spreading her wings, both in religious matters and political matters around the world. Number eight, Pope Leo, or number seven, where am I now? Number seven, yes, so Pope Leo the 14th is also known as Pope of Peace. A Pope of Peace. So when he came out of when he was introduced as the Pope of Rome, he suggested that peace be unto you. That's what he said, because he's a man of peace. And we are in a world of war, right? And upheaval, a lot of upheavals. So don't we need peace? But is he going to be achieving peace? Is the Roman Catholic Church known for its peaceful attitude and disposition? I don't think so. But that is what he suggests that it is. Now, let's go now to fun fact number seven. Pope Leo XIV was highly respected and admired by his predecessor, Pope Francis, the first Jesuit Pope. Notice that Pope Francis was the first Jesuit Pope, the first Jesuit that was ever Pope. And we have now Pope Leo XIV is the first Augustinian Pope, the first Pope to have emerged from the Augustinian order. Now, what does that mean in terms of where the future of the papacy lies? It seems to me, though, that they're pulling out popes who are not the norm, not coming from the normal tradition. I think that is what is happening to the Roman Catholic Church, that they're telling us that they're veering away from the path, from the traditional mode of doing things, to a sort of more contemporary, if you will, revolutionary, if you will. But when you look at what happens in the inner sanctum of popery, you see that they're still traditionalist, but they are, from the exterior perspective, they are pretending to be now moving, veering away from the path of tradition. Could that be a deception? I think only the future will tell. Now, fun fact number 8. Pope Leo XIV is a pope of color. He's not European entirely, right? Some people say that he's of French and Italian and Spanish descent. But I understand that his family on his mother's side are from Haiti. And we know that a lot of Creoles lived in Haiti. And when you look at Pope Leo XIV, you see that he's mixed. He looks like he has even some African DNA, African blood, as we would say it, right? I think that he does have some African heritage in his genealogy. He does have that. We can see that, and it's quite evident. So what does that bear? Are they suggesting to us that he is the true American, made up of people of all backgrounds, African, Indian, and European heritage? Because that is what the quintessential Americas really is, right? So he is so-called the true American Pope. Now, Pope Leo the number 9, Pope Leo the 14th is also the second. He's the second Latin American Pope, the second Pope to have emerged from Latin America, with Pope Francis being the first Pope to have hailed from Latin America, the Latin American continent. Is it suggesting to us now that there is a new day in the Vatican, that they're moving now from the old world, or the hands of the papacy is clasping hands with those on the American continent? Is that what it means? And that is why they have selected a pope not only from who was born in the United States, which was once a predominantly Protestant nation, to one now that he lived in Peru for some time. So he's American as an American in terms of he's a US citizen. Plus, he is also a citizen of the Americas by the fact that he was naturalized rather in Peru, and is known to be a Peruvian, is also known to be a Peruvian citizen. So we see where that he is quintessentially American in terms of being from America, the country, the USA, the United States of America, and also being from the American continent, from South America, in which he hails as a naturalized citizen. I don't think that that is just coincidental. I think it's by design that he became a citizen of Peru. I think that it is by design. And fun fact, the last fun fact, which is fun fact number 10, Pope Leo XIV, who was formerly known as Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost. Notice that his middle name is the name that Pope Francis has, as I've suggested already, has also on his record many cover-ups of sex scandals in the church. He has covered up a lot of sex scandals surrounding priests and other bishops within the Roman Catholic papacy. Now, will this dog his pontificate? Will it, override? Will it affect the image of his being what people call the Holy Father? Because what man is holy but God? God isn't a man. Only God is holy, right? The Pope should not be holy. He's not holy. He is a man of sin, as the Bible suggests. No man is holy but God, right? Holy and reverend is he. No man should also be called reverend, as in some Protestant churches we hear people call themselves. They should not be called that because that is unbiblical. But these are the fun facts that I would like to share to you, with you rather, about Pope Leo the 14th. Hope that you'll benefit, hope that you've learned something, and please like, share, and subscribe. See you in another one.